This 1893 geological map shows the Appalachian Mountains twisting into a severe irregularity in West Virginia, an uncharted geological pocket. For Monarch Mining, this blank space was an uncashed check. Lead geologist Jacob Thorne was dispatched to calculate what wealth hid inside the knot. What Thorne and his team uncovered defied every standard metric of geology. They sank their first shaft and hit a vein of silver so massive and impossibly pure, they named it the Mother Lode. Within months, Monarch built a massive industrial footprint to begin the extraction operation. Thorne viewed the West Virginia wilderness as property, pure and simple. He dismissed the Comstock Lode, the greatest silver strike in American history, as a child's rock collection. He and his crew arrived not to explore, but to harvest what they considered a passive, defenseless resource. In the wild, a resource this pure and this isolated functions as a mechanical lure. It is designed to attract, not to be taken. Down in the freshly cut tunnels, the physical environment immediately began to degrade. The air pressure turned heavy and suffocating, creating a crushing weight that pressed violently against the miners' eardrums. It triggered intense claustrophobia, even in the wide-open caverns. In the deepest shafts, electromagnetism began to fail. Compasses abandoned north, spinning in frantic circles, while the high-frequency radio waves Thorne relied on for communication were shredded into a constant, biting static. Then came the psychological fractures. Rhythmic whispers echoed through the tunnels in an ancient, broken language. One veteran driller refused to return to the dark, swearing he saw the silver itself moving, a viscous, shimmering liquid creeping smoothly through the jagged cracks of the rock wall. The crew was quickly dismantled. 2 miners vanished entirely without a trace. The next morning, the remaining men deserted the site en masse, leaving their equipment, keys, and paychecks behind. Their only explanation was a message scratched into the office door. "The mountain has eyes. It's time to go home." The hollow vein used environmental terror as a precision sorting mechanism. By stripping away the superstitious laborers, it left behind the one person whose scientific ambition would never let him walk away. Jacob Thorne was now completely isolated. Driven by a desperate need for empirical answers, Thorne marched right back down into the deepest untouched vein alone, carrying only a drill and a lantern. In the heart of the main cavern, he found anomalies etched directly into the solid silver. They were geometric carvings resembling twisted skeletal constellations, anchored by a shape that looked like a gaping, toothless maw. Acting on pure academic instinct, Thorne committed a fatal error. He pulled out paper and took physical rubbings to document the symbols. The moment the geometric data was transferred to paper, the cavern woke up. Millions of shimmering pinpricks of silver light opened across the solid rock wall, like perfect, watching pupils. The sheer weight of the mountain pressed in on Thorne, forcing him to run blindly for the surface. Thorne's frantic ascent was the completion of the delivery. By clutching those rubbings to his chest, he had transitioned from a geologist to a vector, carrying the mountain's architecture past the threshold of the mine and into the open air. Up on the surface, the pristine Appalachian landscape of vibrant blue ridges began to rapidly decay under a sickly gray sky. The locals called it the silver blight. Across the valley, the old oaks withered, their leaves shriveling into brittle black curls, and the green grass turned entirely to dust beneath Thorne's heavy leather boots. Realizing the connection, Thorne threw his field notes into a roaring fire. Instead of burning, the paper rubbings absorbed the heat. The etched figures writhed until the pages transmuted into indestructible, cold sheets of solid silver. The contagion displayed a frightening logic. The entity used the geometric patterns Thorne had copied to replicate itself across every surface it touched, expanding its reach through the very shapes he had documented. The whispers Thorne heard in the mine were never meant to warn him. They were a targeted signal, designed to pull at his specific professional curiosity and ensure he wouldn't leave without the very evidence that would doom the valley. Within a week, the viral symbols began self-replicating in the natural world. The skeletal constellations and the grinning maw appeared etched into the morning frost, woven into patches of moss, and stamped onto reflective window glass. The missing miners existed now only as architecture. Their bodies had become the bedrock for the silver's expansion, their human consciousness replaced by the same cold, rhythmic thrumming that was now vibrating through the valley floor. Staring down into a still pool of water, Thorn witnessed his own final physical mutation. His human pupils were entirely gone. In their place sat two shimmering dots of brilliant, piercing silver light. With the physical conversion complete, the psychological transition took over. The haunting whispers he had heard in the dark replaced his own internal thoughts, substituting his human logic with a deep, gnawing void that commanded him to return to the hollow vein. Monarch Mining had marched into West Virginia believing they were extracting a resource. The industrial machine had it backward. Humanity was the raw material, and the mountain is finally bringing in its crop.